Hi everyone, I am going to be doing question number 2. So this is talking about Scrooge's workshop that has 2 product lines. So we're trying to decide whether or not we want to cut one of the product lines. So the following revenues and expenses are provided. As you can see, it says management at Scrooge has been considering the elimination of the snow globe line, seeing it has shown an operating loss for the past few years. If the snow globe division was eliminated, its traceable fixed costs could be avoided. So that's something we want to highlight and remember. Total common corporate costs would be unaffected by eliminating this product line. Okay, so let's get started. So what I think is the first step is that we want to actually calculate the contribution margin and not in the total contribution margin. So for us, so the sales would be, I'll put sales over here. The sales are $325,000. And then the variable expenses are $215,000. And so that gives us a contribution margin of $110,000. Oops. Just like that. So that's the first step that I like to do. So this means that so basically what the question is asking, start with that. We want to determine what the company's net income is. So we want to, or what the effect would be on the net income. So hopefully, as we've seen in prior problems, the contribution margin is actually lost. So that means if I stopped making something, I wouldn't be getting any money from it anymore. So that makes sense. So my lost contribution margin, if I stopped making these snow globes, would be a lost $110,000. Okay, so let's go back to the problem, see what it says. It says that, it looks here, that the only cost that could be avoided would be our traceable fixed costs, which is this $85,000. So what we could do is, because we'd be able to avoid that, so we're not spending the money anymore, we would get to add that back to our income. Hopefully that makes sense. So we get to add the money back because we're not spending it anymore. So the change in NOI, net operating income, would be a negative $25,000. So that doesn't seem too good, right? Because we have a contribution of 110 and now we're losing 25,000. That's not very good. So I'm going to flip back here and kind of hopefully explain this to you. So as you can see in our first table, we didn't have anything about the contribution margin. That's what we calculated right here. And so when we're saying that we're going to cut off a product line, we're going to eliminate that contribution margin. And then we're going to add back any costs that we would have spent specifically on that product line. So in this table, we have a loss of $25,000. And over here, we have a change in NOI of $25,000, a negative $25,000. So that means not only would we be losing this 25, oh goodness, we wouldn't only be losing this, we'd also be losing this from our net operating income. So we'd be losing kind of exponentially more than we were planning. So it'd be better for us to keep this product line. So what I would say is that we shouldn't eliminate the product line because we are covering fixed costs. So that means that, so another thing to think about too is that this says allocated. So allocated means that these are corporate costs that are happening and we're assigning them to certain products, but they're not specifically tied just to the snow globe line. They're also tied over here to the snowball shooters. As you can see, they have a little bit of money there. So it's not specifically always going to be the snow globes. So if we were to cut off this snow globe line, this money would also go to the snowball shooters. So we'd still have these corporate costs. We just would have to pay them in some other kind of department. So basically, we don't want to do that because we're covering these traceable fixed costs with our contribution margin. So we want to make sure that we continue to do that. In addition to attempting to cover most of, a majority or half of these common corporate costs. So it's, I guess, just to simplify everything, if we do have a loss like this, we most likely won't want to discontinue the product line if we're losing money in a change in NOI. And the reason is because we don't want to lose any sort of profit that we have. So hopefully that makes sense, and I will come back with the next video.